Imagine a world music legend, standing alone in his magnificent mansion, surrounded by trophies, awards, and long-standing memories. But beneath it all, there's a sense of weariness, a whisper of retirement he can't ignore any longer. This is the story of Eminem's lonely nights, as he faces the biggest decision of his life. Before we begin, let us know in the comment below whether a legend of Eminem's stature deserves to end his long journey, or whether he should continue to fight against time on stage. The stage lights illuminating the concert arena that night slowly dimmed. Thousands of fans were still screaming Eminem's name, hoping he would return to the stage. However, behind the scenes, the rapper sat pensively with his head bowed, staring at a nearly empty bottle of mineral water. His face was weary, not only from the performance that had just ended, but also from the burden of thoughts that continued to haunt him. Detroit, the city that gave birth to him, had once again become a place of contemplation. In a small room filled with old posters and awards, Eminem gazed at the walls covered in memories of the past. Each award was a testament to his hard work, but also a reminder that time cannot be stopped. There was a quiet whisper in his heart, a question about how much longer he could stand on stage. That night, the atmosphere felt different. The roar of the crowd, which usually excited him, now felt distant. He felt a frightening silence within him. Eminem, once known as a tough figure with sharp lyrics, was now confronted with a sense of doubt he rarely showed to the outside world. On his desk sat a notebook filled with new lyrics. However, his hand refused to return to writing. He stared at the pen, as if unsure if the words he was writing could still shake the world as they once did. This doubt plagued his mind, leaving him torn between his love for music and the desire to quit. A few hours passed. His cell phone rang, displaying the familiar name of Dr. Dre. However, this time he didn't immediately pick up. He knew the conversation could either reopen old wounds or inspire new hope. He postponed the choice, though his heart felt heavier in the silence. Outside the window, the lights of Detroit still glittered, reminding him of the long journey he had traveled, from the rough streets where he grew up to the grand stages around the world. All of it seemed to weigh him down with question. He didn't dare answer aloud. Was it time to stop? He leaned back in his chair, his eyes staring up at the ceiling. Memories of his childhood, his struggles against poverty, and the dark moments when he nearly gave up replayed in his mind. All of that was the reason he kept fighting. However, on the other hand, his body and soul were now demanding rest. As the clock struck midnight, Eminem closed his eyes for a moment. However, the anxiety persisted. The thought of retirement was no longer just a rumor, but a real internal battle. Behind the success in the spotlight, there was a man still searching for answers. Early in the morning, sunlight filtered through the curtains of Eminem's hotel room. He sat on the edge of the bed, staring at a pair of worn, old shoes. They weren't just footwear, but symbols of his long journey from the streets of Detroit to the world stage. Every scratch and tear on them bore witness to a struggle that had never been easy. He slowly picked up his cell phone, which he had let ring the night before. Dr. Dre's name flashed on the screen again, as if waiting for a response. This time, he dared to press the green button. A familiar voice rang out, full of authority yet also filled with warmth. Dre asked how he was doing, then cautiously touched on the rumors circulating about him. Eminem was silent for a long time before answering. He said that fatigue was starting to eat away at him, and the thought of retirement was growing stronger. Dre listened patiently, reminding him of all the struggles they had gone through together. The conversation was brief, but enough to rekindle the feelings he had tried to hide. After hanging up, Eminem walked out onto the balcony. The fresh Detroit air greeted him, carrying a scent reminiscent of the past. He remembered his teenage years, standing on street corners, lyrically competing with his freestyle opponents. Unsure where life would take him, the memories reignited a small flame in his heart. However, reality couldn't be denied. His body wasn't as strong as it once was. The energy he once possessed was now increasingly limited. He knew that every time he stepped on stage, there was a price he had to pay. This feeling left him torn between his obligation to his fans and his obligation to himself. That night, he reopened the lyric notes he'd left behind. His hand trembled as he tried to write. The words felt heavy, like they were passing through a wall. Nevertheless, a verse finally emerged, simple yet honest, capturing his inner turmoil in it. He wrote about time that couldn't be resisted, about dreams that had already come true, and about the silence that came after crowds' cheers had died down. The lyrics made him realize that he was at a crossroads, and that crossroads demanded a decision that couldn't be postponed forever. As the night wore on, Eminem stared at the scribbled paper. She knew those